Hello and welcome to episode 110 of Nolo Time. My name is Low Energy Obed and with me is the most interesting man in the world, Joel Young.
What's good? No low time. I'm sorry, and Obed is low energy at the moment, guys. But that doesn't mean that he's any less passionate. Let me tell you what. Sometimes sleepy Obed might get might just throw some stuff out there. So I think we're in for a good one.
Yeah, it's low filter time for me.
That's what
So
it is,
that's
bro. He doesn't care
it's kind
anymore.
of yeah, it's kind of dangerous. So it's like I better watch it. I better watch myself because when I'm tired, I tend to be a lot more honest about things. My
Nice.
honesty just comes out and unwillingly, and could get me. You could say could get me in trouble, but not really because I'm just being
Right, right.
honest.
Yeah, Obed's a good
So
guy.
so 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 there's that. But yeah, dude, I am super drained. It's been a an absolutely busy week, and not much of a what's up for me other than I keep getting into that astral chain for the Switch. I was gonna call it the Wii U. It's and it's pretty good. Again, that game keeps getting better. It's funny. I mean, it's super like the story and the premise. It's all silly. It's a platinum game, so
Right.
it's gonna be silly. But I think it's some of the writing is it's actually pretty funny, and the game doesn't take itself too seriously. It has this very serious end of the world sort of thing going on, but at the same time, all characters have they're all very lighthearted, and and I appreciate that because games tend to take themselves too seriously from time to time. Best example I can give you with that is the DMC Devil May Cry reboot from Ninja Theory. That was a game that definitely took itself too seriously, and it's, and it didn't stick too well. Versus you got something like DMC 5 where you have this Deadpool like opening sequence and all these things going on, and I appreciate the lightheartedness in action games. So I'm really liking that game, man. It's a lot of fun. So
Nice.
that's pretty much the only what's up I have. Um, I think this week I'm not gonna have too much time to game, but I'll try to fit in a couple hours here and there. So we'll see.
Sure, for sure. Yeah, same for me. Nothing too much more to say. I think last week I referenced it a little bit, but same thing again this week. Catching up on all the new television coming back into play here. All the CWDC shows are back, so we're seeing now how those are connected. Of course, with the upcoming Infinite Crisis crossover, that's to me seems to be an incredible task for CW. They really are going for it. We're bringing in a lot of different talent. I mean, we talked about in past episodes how Kevin Conroy is going to be Batman, and maybe Mark Hamill will be back as Joker. Will wait to be seen. And Brandon Routh is playing Superman again. I mean, just some really cool stuff that they really are going for there. Um, but I've been basically monitoring play on words there, the monitor for
Oh, I see what you did
you
there.
see what I did there. Basically, seeing what they're really planning and how they're building up to it. So I've watched a few episodes of Flash and Arrow now as those have been out. Those are the only two shows that seem to have a direct storyline at the moment that's connecting to. Supergirl is not. They will connect. They'll be in the crossover events, but what's going on in their series is not being reflective of the overall storyline. There's going to be characters that kind of jump into that mix. It seems like, right. Different approach than, like, when you see the Marvel stuff where it's like everything is connected. It's like, well, these are going to connect, but they're not connected at the moment, right? Where I think the most interesting is, like, I I assumed based off of, if you saw last season's crossover, you saw that they basically, the writer's telling the air that he'd have to sacrifice himself for the lives of others, and we kind of took that as, like, them reversing the events, reversing character roles, right, in the position of the Infinite Crisis in the comics, where actually Supergirl and Flash die in the comics, instead making it that the Arrow Green Arrow dies instead. But with the Flash show now, they're making it that, well, look, the Flash is gonna have to die too, and I'm like, this is interesting. So I'm very curious to see how it all comes together. From the very first episode of Arrow being back, they instantly have some Batman nods. So I'm
Interesting.
I actually would say it's worth going back into if you were like one of the people who liked it early on and you've skipped out. I actually would say this season of Arrow is worth going back into and watching. Most people seem to have that sentiment, so it's pretty good.
All right, cool. Yeah, I was really into Arrow for the first maybe 4 or 5 seasons,
Wow.
and then I really dropped off. I'm there in what, season 8 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it just got to where some of the story just didn't make too much sense, and just getting busy. Like back then, my daughter was not or around, and in a very early state. She didn't level up. She was level 0 back then, so I had some more time. Now it's like, you have a kid crawling around you. It's like, hey, let's go do something. So okay, but I would love to check it out. I know that it's on Netflix, right? The DC shows.
Prior seasons, yeah. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
definitely catch up if you want to do that after this season comes out. I'm sure they'll put it on there as well.
Yeah, so I'll probably do that. But I'm definitely going to check out the crossover event. I mean, regardless,
Yeah.
if I'm lost or whatever, I just want to see what it is, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Because it's definitely piqued my interest. With Tom Wellings being back too, and
Yeah.
I heard that what's this guy's name that used to play Green Arrow on Smallville? Justin something. He's on
Oh yeah.
He's
There's
on the Sappy show on NBC. This Is Us.
yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Him being back
Um,
as well.
yeah. So, yeah, I'm interested to see what's going on with that. I mean, for the sounds of it, it's just they're going, all out on this thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, good stuff for the DC from their television standpoint. I mean, there's also some movie stuff, and we'll talk about that in a second. But good stuff for them. It seems like this year, and even better so, they've got their HBO Watchmen series that debuted. A lot of great responses to that. I've yet to see that. I was supposed to
I
see it
heard it was
this week,
good.
but
Yeah,
for great things about it, and seems like the watchability on it's actually broken some records for its first opening episode. So
cool.
I'll keep you guys posted.
Definitely, definitely. Joe, let's jump right in. We have quite a few topics that we want to touch upon. The biggest one, I think, this week, of course, we get the quote unquote final trailer for Star Wars Endgame. I mean, uh, Rise
The
of
Rise of
Skywalker.
Skywalker.
So, first impressions of the trailer before going into like, what we saw and what we liked and whatnot. Very good, very epic, very well cut. It was I think it was the perfect trailer for this movie because they not that they needed to sell the movie, right? Because at the end of the day, even man babies are gonna go see the movie. Like man babies are gonna complain about it, but they're still gonna go see it, and that's all Disney cares about. It's whether or not you go see it. um but very good. I think that again, just to one of the things that stands out in the trailer is the music, right? And it is this new of this new arrangement on the Star Wars theme that plays during the second half of the trailer, that is just goosebumps, bro. They are so good. And uh I read somewhere yesterday that John Williams is saying, it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna blow your socks off with this soundtrack. Like he's going, I was like, John Williams knows that he's getting up there in age, so he's going all out on this thing. It's gonna be his magnum opus of movie soundtracks. But yeah, Joel, first impressions, what do you think, man?
Oh, I think we're both on the same page of saying that it is one of the most emotional trailers we've seen for Star Wars in a while. And even the Disney the D23 spotlight they gave, in the beginning, it's a little emotional because you're seeing the history of what we've known, right? So it's really touching us more on what we know, from a standpoint of nostalgia. But this trailer, I would argue that it might be the best trailer for the most recent of the Star Wars films,
Oh yeah,
from a promotional standpoint, because uh, it makes you feel something so heavy that when you after you watch the trailer, you're like, "Whoa, like,
it
I
feels
need
like
to."
there's actually stakes, like
Yes,
not
yes.
not the meat kind of stakes, but you know,
It captures your attention. You're, like, locked in from the very, very beginning of the trailer. Then it hits you right in the middle emotionally, C-3PO moment, and then, like you said, the
oh yeah,
music comes in right after that moment. That music just starts rising, and you're like
it's
washing your
really
eyes of
I
tears
know.
because it's just so beautiful and so emotional. It's such a great thing. Like you said, Obed, regardless, of how the man babies feel, it's Star Wars, right? I've said it on the podcast before. Some of you may have seen this on the internet, but it's Star Wars fans. If it's bad, you see it twice. If it's good, you'll see it 3 times in the theaters. I mean, they're gonna get their money regardless.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, with that, we can just go into sort of a breakdown of details and things we notice and whatnot. So first thing that I mean that has to be Endor at the opening that opening sequence when Rey is running through the forest with a training sphere. I mean, it is Endor. I mean, that's why would you go into a planet, planet or moon that just looks like Andor and not be Andor, you know. So that's in my opinion. You know, it is Andor. We know that Andor is going to play a big role in the movie because of the remains of the Death Star. You know, we know that Endor is a moon, so there may be, uh, a planet system, a planet and moons that they go through all those different places to find you know pieces of the past maybe. So yeah, but I think that shot is more than likely Andor. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we both agree. Endor for sure. I would say, I'd say I'm 85% sure. The reason I say 85, not like 90% or anything like that, is because like I thought Jakku might have been Tatooine early on, and like
Ah,
Jakku looks just like Tatooine. That was like a little misdirection, be like, yeah, it makes you feel like Tatooine, but it's not Tatooine. I don't think that's the case here because of what the story is for this movie, right? Like it's taking us back to some things that are very important to Star Wars and where we're leading into the whole Palpatine stuff and all that, right? So I think
hmm.
it is Endor too. I'm with you there, but there's like a very some chance that you're trying to make us go somewhere that's not what we've known before. But I don't think that to be the case. I just saying
Yeah,
it's a possibility.
yeah. If it's Endor, do you think we'll see Ewoks?
Yes.
Okay, I would like to
They
see
they
like an
they would they gotta
elder.
still be around. I mean, they
Yeah,
won, right? They were celebrating.
yeah,
Come on.
yeah. I would like to see like an elder Wicket, the Ewok. Like he's the elder now. It's been 30 years or so since
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi. So that'd pretty cool. And of course, Warwick Davis is still around. So
Yeah, he's
you know,
hugely invested in the series.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I would like to. That was something interesting. They don't have to be part of the resistance per se, but they could be there because Luke and Leia were there. Maybe they have something. They worship 3PO, and we know 3PO is a big part, plays a big role in this trailer. So, maybe there's something there. The other part is not to jump around too much, but we again see the remains of the Death Star, um, and we get that really cool shot with Kylo Ren coming out of the water. It's that's a great shot, man. Like, you gotta admit,
Oh, absolutely. And it's
yeah,
cool because the way they take the audio for each of the characters, you've got what Finn is saying, and you've got what showing his face, hearing his statement from him, what Poe is saying, shows shot of and then when Kylo Ren comes out of the water and he's talking, it's such well edited, so
it
well edited.
it is, yeah, yeah. It's a great shot. Yeah, and then we go into the 3PO thing, where we've already seen in previous trailers that 3PO has red eyes. We
Death
we
sticks.
did we didn't know, pink eye. Um, we didn't necessarily know what it meant. We thought it was like a change in programming that made him aggressive or something like that. Um, it could be that we get to that part where we see this this creature working on 3PO trying to get something out of his head, and 3PO looks at the crew, and Poe asks him, like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he's just like taking a one last look at my friends, and we all cried. Uh, so so there's that. Speculation on that scene, Joel, and what that means, in my opinion, right? And other than what Star Wars Theory did, I haven't watched his breakdown. I watched his live reaction, but I'm not going to watch any of the fan theory or any of those videos. I left it there because I want to come up with my own stuff and see how so I'm gonna throw stuff and see if it sticks. But I think that 3PO's been with Anakin since the beginning, right? Basically Anakin. It is implied or said in Phantom Menace that he built 3PO, and
Absolutely.
you know he was there with Anakin. He was with Shmi when he was with the Laris farm, and then he was with Padme after that, and he saw everything that happened, and then he was with Leia since Leia was born, basically. So 3PO's seen a lot. He has a lot of vital information. Again, a Revenge of the Sith, it is implied that his memory gets wiped um, when uh, uh, when Organa tells Antilles to go and wipe his memory. Um, you know, to what extent we don't know the extent of that memory wipe,
This was happened
but
to R2 as well, and clearly R2
exactly.
remembered.
Yeah. So there has to be, he has to have some sort of vital information hidden in him, that they need to get out. And by getting that information out, it's going to either affect his vision. He wouldn't be able to see, although you can fix that. Technically, he's a droid. The other one being that he would affect his personality. Like, he would not be the same droid after that. But that's my theory, man. Do you have anything on that?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Gen with this, right? Like, he's a droid. You you can, but you can't really kill a droid, right? Like, it's for like from an IP standpoint, you've had discussions like Disney's not going to kill the character, like that's
Yeah.
just not an option, right?
If
And
there's
then
anyone
also,
that's not gonna go, it's the droids and Chewie.
absolutely.
Everyone, like, I bet that they're willing to actually kill off everyone else, but R2 and 3PO and Chewie, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, and like from the droid standpoint, like from a literal standpoint, like, okay, if a droid gets like its head blown off or something, like you just put it back together, right? Like it gets rebuilt, right? So it's like,
3PO
so
got blown up,
three PO
and
gets blown up, gets put
yeah,
back together. So like you can't really just like kill those characters, right?
yeah.
But to the Obid's point about like, well, wiping them or them being changed and being different would affect like the characters we've known for a while. Yeah, okay, that's fair, right? That's fair game if you're trying to like end him in that, end his storyline in that way, or end the 3PO we know, that's fair. I agree with Obed from the sense of there's something that he knows, something that he has that was probably trying to be extracted or being utilized. Look, not to get too sweaty nerd on you guys for a second here, but for those of you that are hardcore Star Wars people, you understand the whole George Lucas theory, and he's directly talked about the wills and the Journal of the Wills, and understanding that when the whole time you watch these movies and the saga films, and they say a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, those are all because this is the wills telling the story. It's actually, we're actually hearing the story being told from these journals, right? And the wills are different people from the Force that carry on the stories of Star Wars. And who would be the people that would know the story to first to relay it? It would be the people who are always there. Who's in every single Star Wars movie except for like movies that don't matter, like Solo. That's because it just doesn't matter. But
It doesn't
could be
matter.
true,
It doesn't
cannot be.
matter. It doesn't matter to the
It
Skywalker
doesn't matter
saga.
the
Yeah,
Skywalker saga, exactly. But in every single Star Wars movie, 3PO and R2 has been in them. There's not been one movie that they've not been in. That's just a literal fact of Star Wars, and they've done that to tell further on. These guys have the story of Star. They're a long time ago, Galaxy Far, Far Away is them telling the story because they always were there from things that they were told, things that they know of the battles of Star Wars, right? Like the
yeah.
Bible holders of Star Wars.
And we see
So,
that, yeah, and we see that in Return of the Jedi when 3PO is telling the Ewoks,
yep,
basically the last two movies.
he is.
Yeah, he's telling the story. So it's a big thing. Yeah,
It's a big thing. So like if there's something that you're trying to go back to the past and these characters clearly have you're look those that are in that particular shot at least between Poe and Finn and Rey or they have no knowledge of what happened in those other movies that we fans know of. So they would if they need to know something if there's something that they need to have whatever the only people who are in that room that actually know is R2D2 and C3PO. So of course C3PO that would make sense right? Like we're trying to extract certain information. And of course, if it's even connected further to Vader, who would be the one then the one that was his master that created him, the great Anakin Skywalker. So yeah,
yeah,
I'm with you, Obed.
yeah. Yeah, that sounds cool. And then before the 3PO thing, we of course get the voiceover from Palpatine saying that he long have I waited, and you're finally together, and that would be your undoing, which we talked about briefly, and it's basically it could refer to either Rey and Kylo being coming together, or it could be the entirety of the resistance coming together and basically getting ready to get wiped, and Palpatine being able to uh, you know take absolute control of the galaxy. We see that. We see classic Star Destroyers coming up. Not, we
Yes.
see the old school Empire Star Destroyers, which leads me to think two things, Joel. Um, that Snoke wasn't it real, and he was basically being manipulated by Palpatine, and the reason that Kylo killed him is because he knows what's going to happen. He feels that there's a greater threat, and he needs to assume command of this fleet to be able to go against this force that's incoming. Um, you know, that's one thing, right? Because I think that whatever Palpatine's doing is not connected with what Kylo's doing, and I think Palpatine's going to have his own separate thing. We still don't know what the Sith troopers are going to be, what the role is going to be in all of this. So it could be a separate thing that Palpatine's doing and not necessarily Kylo. So we see that, and then of course we see Palpatine's throne, based on the original concept art from Return of the Jedi or Revenge of the Jedi back then when this concept art was being made. Yeah, man, there's a lot of stuff, and then we see Kylo and Rey together destroying what seems to be the ash container that similar to where Kylo was keeping Vader's helmet. Um, I've gone back and tried to watch this scene and pause it. And
Yeah,
you
it's
can't
hard.
really tell if it's Vader's helmet or not, but
Yeah.
it's a container of sorts. So so it's interesting. What's your theory on that one?
Yeah, that was my first thought when I saw. It. I was like, "Oh, that has to be Vader's helmet on the top. This be the ashes." Made me think of in the Force Awakens the interrogation scene you see with Poe, and the same thing you see later on where he tries to do it with Rey. Kylo takes his helmet off, puts it on this thing. It's a very clear shot. Those are ashes, a container of ashes. Is that some type of remains of someone or just a large group of people, whatever? And that's where they have his shrine of Vader's helmet. You and I have gone back for talking about what kind of things could be burned that would be connected to Vader and from times whatever, right? The body was not burned at the site and on Endor later on in Return of the Jedi. Like there's so many different things that have discussed there. So first thought is that's probably his helmet. There's probably some type of ashes, something related to Vader, but because like to your point, it's really not that clearly seen in that quick shot there. It's really hard to
Hmm.
make it all out. It could be completely something else. So I don't want to speculate too hard on what it is. Regardless, if it is Vader's helmet, then it comes back to that same theory that I have of the dark side is connected to elements. It's always been a thing of Star Wars in general, right? And if there's some type of connection there from the dark side that's used and connected to that helmet or that piece, um, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. Um, Also, something that I noticed on that scene is that Kylo's helmet is not broken.
Yes.
So it's not, we know from previous trailers and from action figures that he puts his helmet together. Of course, he smashed the helmet in the Last Jedi out of anger when he was being scolded by Snoke.
That could be a
But
dream sequence for all
it,
we
it,
know,
it could, yeah, absolutely,
a
absolutely. It
vision
could
or
be like a
something.
vision of the Force or something. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, and then we get action sequence with Finn and Poe and 3PO, um and what look in the desert planet that kind of looks like Tatooine again. We've been fooled before, but we did not see canyons in Jakku.
Right.
They're running in what seems to be Beggar's Canyon in Tatooine, so it looks very similar
And they filmed
to
it
the
on the
pod
same
race
location
location.
that Tatooine was originally filmed at as well. I did read that in the was it I forget who was it
It's
Vogue or whoever made
Tunisia. Okay,
that article where they had all the photos come out initially, or it might
gotcha.
have been the Hollywood Reporter. Unfortunately, I can't remember who was the publisher, but
Okay,
when they put those photos out, they confirmed that the location that was at was the same place that they filmed for A New Hope, where Tatooine was. So
okay. All right, well, there you go. Well,
probably
more,
is.
more than likely, yeah. Yep. Let's see if I'm not missing anything. We're not gonna go into Palpatine yet, but bip, 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 bip. Oh yeah, we see Chewie and Lando on the Falcon, which more than likely will be the last battle. We see the Ghost from Star Wars Rebels
Yep,
when all
gets
the ships are coming
information.
together. Yeah, well, all the ships are in formation, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, and then I mean we get Palpatine at the end, and we know that he's not a Force ghost. He is there. In what form we don't know. There seems to be some mechanical contraption that plays a role in his return, but we will find out when we watch the movie. And yeah, so that's very interesting. Also, kind of confirmed at the end of the trailer that Leia is now one with the Force, because you can hear her being part of that fabulous catchphrase. The Force will be with you, with Luke saying the Force will be with you, and Leia saying always. So, um, yeah, we could assume that she's already gone by then. By that point, um, Ray. See, it's interesting because Ray seems perplexed in that scene. She doesn't seem angry. She seems surprised. So maybe this is just looking at the scene that we've talked uh, offline. We don't want to talk about it on the podcast because
Yeah,
we don't want to ruin it. But we've heard some things, and maybe this is happening.
and there's
Uh,
some very clear editing of whatever the reflection is in her
the
eyes.
Yep, 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 yep.
Very clear editing of whatever she's looking at in her eyes. You
They don't
can't
want
see
they don't
off of the
want you to see
reflection.
it. They don't want you to see it.
It's something.
Yep, yep. So yeah, I mean, overall, I am very excited, Joel. I mean, I wish I could go in opening night. I won't be able to make it, but I know that Saturday, right after the movie opens, we're definitely gonna, I'm definitely going to go and watch the movie.
I got
Which
tickets in hand, and I'm
I know,
ready.
I know you do. Which reminds me, we need to plan out that week. That week's gonna be brutal
I know.
because I would rather just wait and maybe like record like Saturday night, and that way
Yeah,
we
there's a
can get
lot of
our
time.
impressions. Yeah, because then that following week is Christmas week. We're probably not going to have a podcast that
Yeah,
week. So
usually not.
yeah, so we will love to do that as soon as we can. So maybe that's gonna we'll move our schedules around for to make it happen. But yeah, I mean, overall, I am very very excited. I'm very pleased, and it's Star Wars, man. It's my number one thing. Also, I watched some of the new footage from Fallen Order, and I'm sold. I'm sold for sure. I'm gonna get that game, and I don't foresee a big issue with that. So yeah, cool. Joel, there's some Joker news, and it's very positive news that the movie is doing very well financially. So you got
Absolutely.
some more info on that, man?
Yeah, Joker is looking to actually come in and actually get to be the exact place as Avengers Infinity War was, I believe, domestically, where it's making over $700 million right now. That film is made worldwide, so it's making bank a lot more money than I anticipated. And it's not because I didn't think the movie's gonna be good or anything like that. I just thought it was more so like this movie's rated R, like the timing of it, the way the movie plays out, like and some of the controversy surrounding it. I assumed that it was gonna do well, but maybe not be bonkers. This is clearly bonkers money. I joked with you, Obed, and I said, if they're going to do another movie in this vein of this world, it's going to have to be because they make at least $500 million. Well, they've already done that.
So Joe, going back to what I said, and you were like, eh. So I'm looking at the old time comic book movie
List.
total gross. Suicide Squad's at 29, and Joker's at 28.
Incredible.
So I got that
Incredible.
one.
Incredible.
Yeah. So it is closing in on X-Men Days of Future Past, and then after that it will be Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, which I think after this month, I think it will slow its roll. But it's been a strong month. I mean, look, we're in the month of Halloween, and I think Venom also showed that October is a good month for these types of movies to
Yeah.
come out, these anti-hero or villain style films. So yeah, I think it was the right timing for them. Happy for DC to have a solid movie come out, and be received in such a unique way. It's good. Like it's getting that critical praise. Obed, anything else you want to say on that, or you want me to talk about this Scorsese stuff?
Yeah, we can jump into that.
Okay.
So yeah, well, hey, yeah, take it away, man, and I'll
Yes.
jump in.
Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it's clearly, and I think it's important to be acknowledged that Martin Scorsese, has been critical of the superhero genre of films in general. Now, Martin Scorsese did produce the Joker, so he does have his hands in the superhero genre, which is interesting, right? With making this movie, Todd Phillips directed the film and all. It's really more so Todd Phillips, but Scorsese had his hands in it, and you can see that when you watch the movie. It's not your typical superhero movie, right? But anyways, Scorsese has been on the record now criticizing the superhero genre and Marvel films really by saying that they are not real cinema and that these movies have turned the movie theaters into amusement parks. And I think I was more perplexed by that statement than I was like angered by it. I mean, I'm not gonna say I was happy about it, but it was a little bit like that doesn't even make any sense. A movie's a movie. It could be a 2-hour movie of a kid singing, with and dancing, or whatever. It's a movie if it's if it's shot, edited, whatever, right? Um, but so for him to say it's not a movie, it's like it's definitely cinema. But say it's not a good movie, it's a totally different argument, right? I think that's fair ground, fair game. But that was like the first bit of it. And then since he said that, other people in the industry now have started to come out and make different statements. It went from we don't really think these are real movies and they're hurting the cinema to then other statements of movie theaters are making too much. They're making too much of this a priority, these types of movies, and making more showtimes for these movies than other movies, and it's just not right, which is crazy because it's like, well, these movies are making money. They have to, people want to see it. You have to give people the option to watch the movie. But anyways, um, and then it even went further. Like there was some statements being made now where it went from just talking about these movies not being movies that they like to then almost criticizing the fans and saying that these movies, literally referring to these movies as despicable, saying that young viewers don't understand what good cinema is, started critiquing and started criticizing the audience instead of just the movie anymore, going against the people. And so where maybe once you could defend the idea of someone not liking these movies as fair game, to then taking it to a much further place of, now you're saying that movie theaters are wrong, and now you're saying that people are wrong for saying what they like. It got a little too crazy for me. Yeah, you go ahead, Obed.
So here's my 2 cents, right? I'm a very open-minded guy. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, even if you're wrong, right? Because sometimes people are wrong. They think they're right with their opinions, but fortunately, they're factually that there's a difference between just uh, saying that you're wrong because I disagree with you,
Sure.
but there's the being actually factually wrong.
Right.
Um, and here's my and again, everyone in the show business is entitled to their opinion. Every director is entitled to their opinion. The thing is that if every movie was a Martin Scorsese type movie, there will be no movie theaters because people, you know, operational costs for movie theaters are very high right now. That's why you pay $14 for popcorn and soda.
Yep.
Um, you know, if every movie would be like this, if every movie was a Scorsese movie or an artsy movie or you know um a Tom Hanks drama, which they do well, but they don't necessarily set the box office on fire. If everything was like that, uh there would be no movie theaters right now because operational costs for the movie theaters are very high. They will not be able to maintain that, uh, you know, uh, the movie theater experience. That being said,
It's simply supply and demand, economics.
absolutely, exactly. It's economics. Um, in order for Scorsese to make his movies, there needs to be an Avengers. There needs to be a Star Wars. There needs to be all these things. Because if there's not a movie theater, who's gonna watch a Scorsese movie? People are not gonna buy it on Blu-ray, and then watch it on TV, and they half of the movies edited. So what's the point? But watching a Scorsese movie on TV. I mean, you need to look at it that way, right? And he's entitled to his opinion. He may not like it, but it is the way it is. It is a symbiotic relationship. The blockbuster and the art film, they both have their place. And and the blockbuster could exist without the artsy fartsy movie, but the artsy fartsy movie makes the blockbuster better, like in the case of the Joker, right? uh so they it's a relationship, right? And then the blockbuster basically funds the artsy movie. So it's like that. It's that's how it works. You can criticize us all. You can criticize it all you want, right? But at the end of the day, you're wrong because these movies are funding your movie. So there's that, you know, and that's the hard truth. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it's dangerous when you start. It's one thing to have your opinion, like Tobit's point, like to say that you don't like something, but it's another thing when you take it to the place of, this is the orders that they shouldn't play something that people are asking and putting their dollars behind and saying that we're gonna buy. Like that's just nonsensical.
it
But
is.
what's the
It
most
is.
interesting? Yeah, just there's no sense behind it, no economics. So I just a person. Now you're just letting your emotions get in the way. And I think I think it's for whatever reason, Scorsese is very emotional about this. I don't know why, but uh, Bob Iger is also coming into this thing now. He's saying, "Look, we making movies. We're doing a hard stick. It's not fair to criticize these guys. They work really hard on what they're doing here. you have a right to not like these movies. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting now to see where this all goes, right? Where this all ends up.
It just ends up in being opinions, and Scorsese is gonna make his movies, and Marvel's gonna keep making their movies. You know, he can have all the opinions he wants, you know, and that doesn't mean he's wrong, but you know, you need to think that this is a relationship. Without the blockbuster, the artsy movie is not gonna exist, and the artsy movie makes the blockbuster better. So
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, that's the hard truth. So it is what it is. Joe, let's go ahead and take a break, and we will be back with gaming news. We are back. There's a little game, Joe, that came out recently called WWE 2K20. We're not going to spend too much time on this, but oh boy, man, where do we start with this thing? So, when you release a game and the gameplay footage that is out there is pretty much 98% glitches, you know that you are in trouble. Man, talk about a botched launch for this game, Joel. Which, by the way, this is the first game that Visual Concepts, uh, who also developed the NBA 2K series, are taking without the help of Ukes. Ukes being a Japanese company that has been developing these wrestling games since I think the late PS1 era, PS2, early PS2 era. So, man, have you seen any of those videos, Joe?
I have.
Yeah, so it's an absolute mess. Man, talk about just not 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 making it work.
It's
it
very
not
peculiar.
it is, yeah. I mean, how can they launch this game in this state? Apparently, there was a media event a couple weeks ago when they
Hmm.
showed the game to influencers
Hmm.
behind closed doors, but they were under an NDA.
Huh.
So when the NDA expired, all these guys were saying it's like, yeah, dude, we were back there during that event, and basically all the video footage that we took was glitches because it was so bad that that's basically all we got. It's like you said, it's very peculiar, man, very interesting. We're using this as a segue into our next topic, but yeah, man, I mean, is there anything they can do to salvage this thing? It got like a 4.5 on IGN.
Yeah.
I saw the review today. Metacritic, I checked yesterday. I haven't checked today, but it was like a 1.2 or something user score. Brutal, absolutely brutal. So, um, thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, unfortunately, these things happen. These are the kind of things that you do say, "What the heck is going on?" Like,
Yeah,
we want to know all the juicy tidbits because you don't just have a title and something comes out and you see it look this way, and you're like, "Okay, so I don't know, man."
yeah, it's interesting for sure. I would like to see, I would like to know the
Oh,
behind the scenes and the story
exactly. What's the real
for
story?
this game. Yeah, but we're segueing. We're using this game, like I said, as a segue because we had a major delay announced this morning. So Jason Schreier from Kotaku broke that uh, there was very strong rumors that The Last of Us 2 it was going to be delayed from the original date of February. Was it February 20th, right, or
Yeah.
21st? And to spring, basically. And later today, this just happened today, so coincidentally, luckily we were right there to talk about this. Um, the game will be delayed until May 29th, 2020, officially. So it's about a what the two two and a half month, 2 or 3, almost 3 month delay. Not too bad. But on the same coin, you need to look at it this way. I ain't even mad about this Because when you look at what happens when you don't delay games and you try to rush it out, you get 2K, you get WWE 2K20. So you know, I'm all in for the delay. I have zero issues with it. You know, I've seen some people there's like, oh no, it's unfair that they're delaying this. I was like, yeah, and that's and everyone's coming back saying the same thing. It's like, well, would you rather have a good game or two or WWE 2K20 or there's this quote that floats around that it's unconfirmed, but it's a supposed quote from Shigeru Miyamoto's that says that a delayed a a game that gets delayed could eventually or eventually will be good, but a bad game will be bad forever. That sort of thing. I'm paraphrasing, but there's a quote that always floats around when this sort of thing happens. It's really funny because there's I guess like one of these super Xbox fans like laughing it up on Twitter. It's like, oh, wow, it's getting delayed. And then but then someone pointed out, it's like, oh yeah, remember E3 2014 when you guys showed uh four Xbox exclusives, three of them got canceled, and the last one was Crackdown 3 that got delayed.
2014
2023
years.
2014 and
Jeez.
Crackdown 3 came out this February, which everyone totally forgot about. So so there's that, right? But yeah, I mean, it's Naughty Dog. They get all the delays they want, man. Like, to be honest with you, I thought that Death Stranding was gonna get delayed when they first got a date. I was like, this game's not coming out in the state, man. And Kojima hit that date with Conan O'Brien, and that awkward moment we had today about about the Conan O'Brien video, which, well, let's not talk about it. But yeah, um, it's it's it it's fine. I have no problems with this, Joe. Well, what do you think?
Yeah, delay for a game like this, it's not unusual. It's not uncommon. I mean, it's a very, very big game, very highly anticipated. The Last of Us is just it's has so many eyes on it, so much high expectations on it that they have to know. Like, you can't just. There's no rushing to put something like this out there. Like, you're gonna put it out there. It has to
Okay.
work. It has to work well, has to be what people want it to be and expect it to be. Because the last thing you want to have is The Last of Us 2 be referred to as what a terrible what could have been scenario, right? If it's bad, people are going to really talk about it. If it's great, people are going to really talk about it. So they have the opportunity to control the narrative by finishing a great game and making sure that it's great. So yeah, this makes sense to me. Not surprised at all. Not really much to say beyond that.
Yeah, yeah. Same here. I mean, I don't think there's going to be a big problem at all. So they'll definitely be able to get back from that one, no problem. So, um, Joe, Google Stadia, we forgot to talk about it last week, but they last week they did announce the official release date for the first phase of Google Stadia, and that is November 19th of this year. And yeah, I mean, it's a service. It's going to roll out. They're still saying that you can get 4K 60 on what is it, 40 megs of internet bandwidth.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll see. I would love to try the service. I wish they actually had like a trial of sorts. But my understanding is that, again, this service is not going to be like Game Pass where you pay per month and you get games. This is basically you purchase the game through the service and then you get to play it within the service. So it's an actual storefront versus being an actual play service. Now next year they're going to have like another type of service that may be what that could be. But yeah, I mean, November 19th, Joe, you're gonna buy
No, I won't be
it?
buying it. I can tell you right now. There's pros and cons to the model that they have. A large part of me says that for something like this, I might have actually preferred a subscription based model. But I also understand the argument. Like I could see both the positives and negatives, right? Of having it. Also, like, well, no, you buy the game, it's yours. It's just digitally stored, right? Digital library. You know, it's some people will say that's the future, right? That's the way games are gonna go. Clearly, with rumors of PlayStation 5, that's not the truth. I mean, you can have your digital library, but you also can be old fashioned like Obed and I like to be and have our physical copies. Um, yeah, Google's Stadia. This good for them. I'm happy that this is something that they're sounds like it's going to be a very serious launch. Hopefully, it's a successful launch for them. I really hope it is. I don't wish anything bad upon it, but from what I've seen, what I know, not enough for me to say that I need to have this right now. But I do believe the whole like if they're kind of have 4K graphics, like that's pretty cool. I do believe that actually. I think if they're saying they can do it, I think that it can happen. So
Yeah,
it's a good option out there for people who want to game, on their TVs and maybe just again another a different form of hardware, right? Like it's not like you're getting your PlayStations and your Xboxes, right? You're getting your streaming gaming. So it's
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, like I said, I would like to test the service and see what it really is. I mean, I may buy a game, something that's not too expensive, and try it out. Well, I know that Destiny 2 is sort of free to play
Oh
at the
yeah, yeah.
moment, so maybe check that out and see how it runs. You know, but it's a service. It's coming out. That bundle's still out there with a controller. I think I heard that the one with the blue controller is sold out. You can't even get that one anymore.
Really well.
So yeah. So well, I guess we will have to wait and see when this thing launches. It could be completely busted, or it could actually
Also,
work.
the marketing on it has not been really existed
No,
for this. I'm surprised.
it hasn't. No, they're being very. They definitely like been quiet in
Yeah,
that front for sure. There's nothing on TV at all. I'm
internet
sure that
ads,
around
not much.
Christmas we'll maybe around Christmas we'll see something, but there hasn't been anything on TV. What I've seen here and there on like Polygon or IGN, they're putting their ads, and it's just a standard ad. It's nothing special. So yeah, you're right. It's very interesting. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Just moving on. Bethesda. I mean, they're like the new Konami. I don't know. I don't know. At least Konami has pachinko machines, which you're gonna lose money. Um, but Bethesda, Joe, I don't know where they went ahead and made a a subscription service for Fallout 76 called Fallout First, and it is basically a sort of single player experience where you have a private world. You'll get some rewards per month,
Yeah.
some exclusive armor, and some stuff like that. And it is a very expensive service. It is $100 a year or $13 a month,
Wow.
which is absolutely ridiculous. This is more money than Game Pass. This is more money than the PlayStation Now, which I can play on a PC right now. Joe, um, it, what the heck, dude? And then to top it all, the people that sign up for this service were reporting that save files were getting destroyed.
Oh no.
Yo, what is wrong with Bethesda? What happened here?
They don't get it, dude. That's the problem. They don't get the way to deliver something that's gonna keep people happy or even just be safe. And what they are putting out there now is very desperate. Like it's very obvious
It
desperation.
is.
It's like
Seems
clawing
like
for
it.
survival at this point. And that means it's in my opinion it's too late at this point. Like now you've gone so far that it's clearly gotten to the place where it's not just a problem anymore. Now it's actually an issue.
Yeah. Like Harvey Dent said, man, you either die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain. That's
Yes.
exactly what happened to Bethesda. But man, at the same time, you got a game like the Outer Worlds
Yeah.
that's getting a lot of hype. People are very excited about, and I heard it's a very good game. not my cup of tea, but it looks good, looks fun. I heard it's well written, and it's just overall a fun game. It has none of this microtransaction, you know, thing that Bethesda is trying to put on Fallout, and it is kind of like I think disturbing is too big of a word for this, but definitely worrying. Where I don't know if other games will attempt to follow this sort of trend.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't want them. I don't want this thing to be a thing. But you know, to be honest with you, Joe, I would rather take Konami over Bethesda right now, because at least Konami is like, oh, let's not make video games, so we'll just
That's
make
strong.
pachinko. Yeah,
Ooh.
make pachinko machines out of the video game properties, right? But they're not selling you a game with like all this stuff in it. So it is baffling, dude. Baffling. I mean, I don't know what else to say, but this is one of the shadiest things I've seen. Like, and and I know the NBA 2K microtransactions are shady, but but bro, this is too much. Like, this is too much for me, right? One thing, microtransactions are one thing, right? Because you can buy your XP, like you can buy XP on EA games and the 2K games, but this thing is just like egregious, like a service. Like, it's not even an MMO. This is probably more money than WoW right now, and or Final Fantasy. I would rather spend that money on Final Fantasy 14. How's that? Pay my monthly subscription, get into an MMO, but not on a one game with. Nah, man. I don't know what they're thinking.
It's desperation, I think.
I don't know, confusion. You know, I we'll see where Bethesda goes. I think that there there's going to be lots of changes that are going to happen to Bethesda in the near future. So we'll see. Joe, last bit of news that I have here is a sort of rumor regarding, of course, our favorite PS5. We've been talking about it for the last 4 weeks now. Every week there's something, um, but the big rumor here, Joel, is that um, they said late 2020 on the official announcement. Allegedly, the date that they're going after is December 4th. Um, Also, December 4th being exactly um, 25 years after the release of or 26 years um, after the release of the PS1, which was released December 4th, 1994, originally in Japan. So there that seems to be the date that that the device will come out. So seems plausible to me. Like I said last time, I think that releasing it before Black Friday may be a bigger thing. But in my opinion, you know, it could be a marketing thing. They could let Xbox go, go before Black Friday, and people are gonna hold off to, oh no, I'm just gonna wait until the PS5 comes out and see which one's better. So that could be a deterrent. I mean, the same thing happened with the Saturn when the Saturn was rushed over here because they wanted to launch before the PlayStation, to have at least a couple of months on it. But that we know how that worked out. And Joel, the other rumor is that the price for the PS5 will be $500, so $499 US. Um, yeah, I think that's a possible price too. Um, if the device has the specs that we've seen, I think that 499 is basically a gift. So, yeah, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I think the date is the only thing that I am kind of unsure of how it will work for them. And for someone like me, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. Actually, I don't. It doesn't bother me as a consumer. But looking at the economics and the opportunity, right? When you have a Black Friday device, even if the device is not discounted, it's just a device just on the market. People just buy things at that time, right? Just because that's how things go. So, if you have your competitor is going to get ahead of you and release something during the time when everyone's buying stuff, regardless of hype, regardless of notoriety, people will buy the competitor's product. I'm not saying it's going to oversell, but I'm just saying like they will move items, and if you want to make sure that you're the one that's actually getting off the shelves and getting in people's homes, you want to beat them to it, right? That's just the way I look at it. So again, for me, yeah, I wouldn't care. I would hold off and I would wait, but I don't know how much how true that is for. I think that it's that's too broad of a general statement for me to say. Yeah, people would wait for that. I don't know. I mean, that might affect things just every so slightly. There's just not enough data to understand how that
Yeah,
would be because we haven't seen that happen before. So that's
yeah,
the
we've seen
part to
the
me.
yeah we've seen the couple of weeks like the Xbox One
Yeah,
and the PS4, but we've never seen
holidays like this. Yeah,
like a month in advance. So it may be even a few weeks because Xbox may launch like November 20th,
yeah.
and then this thing's gonna be like 2 weeks
Jeez.
after. So people are gonna hold off. You're like, you know, the console launches are not affected by Black Friday sales because it's a new product. They're gonna sell out anyway.
Exactly. That's my
Yeah.
point. Like, it's not about a deal, really. It just matter of being on the market.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because they're not gonna get deals. Like
There's no deals.
you're not gonna get a deal on
No.
on an Xbox Scarlet or whatever it's called
If you do,
on
I'm
Black
sorry,
Friday.
guys. That's a scam. It's
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
Don't buy
seriously.
it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean
But
it's definitely plausible. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, but the second part though about talking about the pricing though, I do think that is brilliant if that is true. I think the $500 $499 price sticker for a brand new hardware is great. I mean, I actually thought it was going to be 600. Of course, you and I were talking offline about how the what's the real price you're going to actually spend. The console itself might be $500, but you're not going to just walk out with the console. You might get another controller, you might get a game or two. So you could
Yep.
be looking at the minimum another 150 maybe being spent after leaving you with maybe 650 bucks that you just spent on this new thing. So you're not going to just spend 499, but the cost of the console alone, that's a pretty good for something that's supposed to be brand new, if that's true, that
Yeah.
499 sticker. So that might be a strong selling point because I don't know that that's going to be true for Scarlet. We don't know yet, where these guys are at. They're obviously financially, I'm not going to say obviously, but financially, like, this is something that I'm sure Microsoft is going to be looking at very closely because of prior launches, right? And how it's affected the business. So do they intentionally make the prices lower, or do something that makes it competitive, or they say, look, we just for us to make a return on our investment, we have to bump it up? I don't know. I mean, it's going to be very curious to see what that is. It going to be a leveled battle, or is it going to be one's more pricier than the other? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's gonna be leveled because the Xbox is not gonna have a Connect this time around.
True,
Because
that
that
helps the
was
battle. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, because that was the thing when the Xbox One came out, it was 499 because it included the Connect. So just removing that device and just having a stronger device overall, um, would make sense. And I mean, because all things considered, right now you can get a Xbox One X was 500 when it came out, right? Or was it 399? It was 500. It was
I believe
499.
so. Yeah,
Um, because the Pro PS4 Pro is 399.
right.
But you can buy an Xbox One X right now for like 350 because no one bought them. So there's tons of them out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you can definitely get away with a 500. More than 500, I doubt it. I really really doubt it that that's gonna be an appealing mass market price. But that's the tipping the line. I think, dude. To be honest with you, I think if I'm not wrong, my Sega Saturn back in 95 when I got it, or 95. I think it wasn't not. I can't remember if I got it in 95 or 96, but I got it like a few months after it came out. I think I got no, yeah. So it came out in June, July, and I got it in October because I got it for my birthday that year. And I think that Saturn was $3.99, and it's a freaking Sega Saturn. Oh my
Yeah.
god! So yeah, the original, the PS1 was $2.99. So um, back then, it's still a lot of money. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, again, this is still over a year away. All rumors, so take it with a grain of salt. Joe, that's what we got, man. I want to go to sleep. Go ahead and plug us in, sir.
I'm right there with you. Guys, thank you so much for your time out of your day to watch, listen to us here on No Load Time. We want to invite you to stay connected, so be a subscriber. Follow us at No Load Time on social media. Subscribe to our show, iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Spotify. We're out there. And share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your neighbors, share it with your coworker. Share the No Load Time good news. And then, with that being said, we also invite you guys to send your feedback to us. Send an email to noloadtime@gmail.com. That's noloadtime@gmail.com. Questions, comments, things we could discuss potentially here on the show. Maybe you've got some thoughts about that new Star Wars trailer. Maybe you got some thoughts about this new PlayStation 5 potential date and price. Maybe you got some thoughts about Fallout. I don't know. Send us an email. We could talk about it. We look forward to seeing you guys on episode 111. Till next time, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you again next time.